this topic because I've always been interested in the Japanese culture. I started getting interested in Japanese culture around a year and a half ago after watching some shows. I'm not too sure why it made me interested, but most definitely did. I've always wanted to visit Japan. It just really seems like an amazing place to visit. I've been trying to learn for around a year by doing stuff like apps like Duolingo and even Google Translate. I would also do stuff like put Japanese captions when I watched videos. And sometimes I would just do stuff like look up random Japanese words. And so far I can write a few things in Japanese, I can also sing in Japanese and say a few things in Japanese. Though before I start learning more, first I thought I might be better to start small and write a short poem in Japanese. And that's when I started to look around and then I found the poem that I ended up doing. That is the poem that I chose in Japanese. I don't have it completely memorized, but even after this, I will continue working on it and continuing practicing. And with the practice I have right now, the more I have written it, the better it has started to look. This is how I figured out how to write it in Japanese. I took around 3 to 1 words and put it into Google Translate. I had a document that had stuff like green in Japanese is this. And I did that until I had the whole poem translated. It took me a while to actually get the hang of it, but surely I did something right because I think it turned out quite well. I hope that by taking steps like this, I can eventually learn Japanese and get to go to Japan. Now I will be showing you how to write 2 words, dog and cat in Japanese.
My name is Ethan, and my driving question is, what was it like to be on the USS Wabash, which is the ship my dad served on in the Navy? The Wabash was an auxiliary oil replenishment ship, which means it gave fuel, food, parts, and supplies to other ships in the battle group. You'll be able to see how this is done in a video shortly. My dad said he enjoyed being in the Navy because he got to experience different cultures in different countries. One of his favorite things on the ship was watching the planes take off from the aircraft carrier and watching the helicopters take off from the Wabash and riding in the helicopters from the Wabash. This picture is a picture of the Wabash, and this aircraft carrier, this is one of the ships that they refueled. They nicknamed the Wabash the Cannonball after an old train in a song. This picture is when he graduated boot camp, and that picture right there is when he was about to go to Australia. This card right here, it's for crossing the border. The USS Wabash was in the Navy for 23 years, from November 20th, 1971 to September 30th, 1994. He was in the Navy for 4 years. He started when he was 19. There was a store, cargo elevators, weight room, and helicopters on there, on the ship. He liked to watch movies, played cards, dominoes, and he slept. There was 22 officers and 392 enlisted men. He was an interior communications electrician. They called him an ICE man, or Iceman. The guy is shooting, it's called shooting a line across. It has a nylon line attached to a rubber bullet. The other ship pulls that line that is connected to a steel cable, which allows the Wabash to send fuel, lines, and supplies across to the other ship. And these 3 right here are fuel lines that send across to the other ship to refuel. And there's another line that they send crates of food over. And you'll see that in a second. That is the crate of food. It's attached to a line going to the other ship. These are my dad's real dog tags. This is his yearbook from the ship, and this is all the places he traveled. This is the picture of the Wabash. Another picture. This picture right here is my dad. He looks a lot different.
Hello, my name is Luke. My driving question was, how can I learn the best way to snowboard down a hill? What interested me into this topic was my favorite YouTuber who is a snowboarder. The first thing I was looking on my research was the equipment that you needed. You need a helmet, gloves, snow jacket, mask, snow pants, and snow boots. You also need a snowboard, and I will show you what size you need now. If you're 50 pounds, you need a 50 inch to 100 centimeters. For me, I would be 125 centimeters to 135 centimeters since I'm at least 90 pounds. Now let's talk about your binding on the board. On the board, you need to make sure you're on a flat terrain and stick your foot on the board and then slide your foot back and First you want to undo all the straps and then scoot your foot back into the bindings and then strap them back up and ride. Now before we get onto the ski lift, you need to go on a bunny hill and do your power heel squat. A power heel squat is when you're going slowly down the mountain, and when you need to stop, you just lift up your toes and lean back. Now let's talk about the ski lift. On the ski lift, you need to make sure that one foot is free, that way you can rest your snowboard on that free foot. When you're trying to get off, you need to make sure you push off with your body, but first we need to talk about when you get on. When you get on, you need to scoot with your back leg and sit carefully on the chairlift. If people don't know what the chairlift is, make sure you put down the bar. A chairlift is a chair being pulled by a rope in the air. Now, whenever you get to the top, you can start your snowboarding adventure.
What's up guys, Kevin here from Snowboard Pro Can. Today I'm on the Cat Skinner chairlift of Blackcomb. This is probably the most difficult chairlift to be on in Whistler, and I thought I would give you guys some tips so that you can survive your first chairlift. Before you even attempt the chairlift, you want to spend a lot of time skating and practicing your one-footed riding and stopping. This is going to prepare you, first of all, to get to the chair, but most importantly, to get off the chair.
Thank you for listening to my Genius Hour.
Can I tell you about caring for goats and how to care for them? This topic interested me because I love goats, because they're cute and ugly cute. I had twins just like that in 2019, but sadly one of them died. Take care of your goats if you have any. If you don't, or else. Here are some pictures of my goats. Caring for goats, you should have some goat food and some hay, or just goat food. In the winter, the grass dies and you'll have to feed them goat food and hay. Make sure to love your goats. Remember, goats like to climb. There are different kinds of goats like fainting goats. Fainting goats cost more money than goats. You can brush your goats. I don't though. Yeah, that's a new baby goat we had last week. Right there. that new baby goat hasn't been named, so on the back of your card you can write a name. Here are some of the names for the baby goat. I'll be choosing one. There's Becky, JC, Barbara, baby goat. That's probably Hazen's. Carol, Lindsay, Bob. We already have Bob and Bob Jr. Spring, Rosie, Leslie, Gemma, the wee goat. I don't know a goat name, and Jimmy the girl. Jimmy, hey.
I'm Owen and this is Rotate, and we're doing tanks in history. This topic interested us because I read about it on a book in Miss McCoy's.
And I joined because I just liked the topic.
This is Little Willie. It was considered useless because most British soldiers could do its job better than it could, and it was called Little Willie to mock the current German leader, who is Paul von Hindenburg.
This is Big Willie. Big Willie was made to try to keep up with the demand for tanks with guns. While Little Willie was out on the battlefield, they had time to make it. The long design was for going over trenches and rough terrains. The weight of the tank was 28 tons and the length was 32 feet long.
This is the Challenger 1. It weighed 62 tons. It was 37 feet, 9 inches long. It was 11 feet, 6 inches wide, and 9 feet, 8 inches tall. It was used by the British Army from 1983 to the mid-1990s. It can reach a top speed of 37 miles per hour, or 60 kilometers per hour.
This is the Challenger 2. One Challenger 2 was hit with over 70 RPG hits and was operational in a few hours. The only time one has been destroyed was in a friendly fire incident. The weight is 62.5 tons. The cost is $5 million. It can have a crew of 4. The Challenger 2 was hit with several explosions and an anti-tank missile.
Even though it was damaged, 6 hours later it was fighting once more.
And watch the video.
The gun at sight on gyro stabilized and are fitted with a laser range finder and thermal imager.
This is the M1A2C. Only 9 of them have been destroyed. One of the 9 Abrahams that have been destroyed, 7 were destroyed by friendly fire, and 2 were purposely destroyed to prevent capture after being damaged. It costs $6.21 million and has a crew of 4. It's 32 feet long and it weighs 62 tons.
And this is all of our extra information. But the main important one is the Soviet Union created a laser tank. That will be on our blue kit.
Yeah, but there's a lot of facts.
Right.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our look at.
Hi, my name is Anna, and my driving question is, what is the history of cheer and how did it originate? How cheerleading began. Cheerleading started in the 1860s in Great Britain and entered the U.S. in the 1880s. Although women currently dominate the field, cheerleading was begun by men. Princeton University in 1884 got the idea that crowd chanting at football and baseball games would boost school spirits, so they came up with the catchy cheer. Now we are going to read the cheer together.
Hurrah!
Hurrah!
Hurrah! Hurrah! Boom!
Was yelled from the stands by students at games and is known today as the locomotive. A medical student at the University of Minnesota named Jonah Campbell assembled a group to energize the team and the crowd. Johnny picked a megaphone and rallied the team to victory with the first organized cheer. Stunts. In today's cheerleading, as well as in earlier years, there are several highlights in the sport. Stunts can require flyers to be thrown in the air in different directions, while bases must catch from greater heights. Any stunt can be scary at first, but can be done with the trust of teammates. Jumps. The first cheer jump was created in 1984 and is called the Herky Jump, named after Lawrence Herkimer. The jump is speculated to have been invented because Herkimer wasn't able to do an actual side hurdle. The left and right hurdler jump. Other jumps include the shadow jump, pipe jump, and the right and left hurdler. These are considered more difficult jumps. Routines. Cheerleaders often learn routines. For competitive cheerleaders, routines are often 2 minutes and 30 seconds. These routines often include a mix of tumbling, jumps, and stunts, as well as a dance. Here is an example of a routine. Here's a Kahoot to see what you remember about cheerleading.
Howdy y'all, my name is Merritt and I'm here with my friend Rhino and we're going to teach y'all about what goes on at a goat stalk show. Now be sure to pay attention because after this we're going to play a game kit. The reason this topic interested me is because I'm involved with showing goats. We're going to go over 3 main topics today. The first one will be what a judge looks for in a goat. The second one is grooming your goat, and the third one is how to show your goat. Now the main things that a judge looks for in a goat is width of their chest, like how wide this is. They also like a long body, which is just self-explanatory. Firm to the touch, which is just hardness in the loin. And then for them to run uphill, which means for them to have elevation from their back legs to their front legs. Now my dad is going to be the exhibitor and I will be the judge. The first position that a judge will have you do when you walk in the ring is rear hook, which looks like this. In this position, the judge will look for width of their hindquarters, he'll feel for the firmness of their loin, and then he'll also look at the width of their front. Now, the second brace position that a judge will have you do is side profile. In this brace position, the judge again looks for width of their hindquarters, feels for the firmness of their loin, and looks at the width of their front, but the judge also looks for them to run uphill, which is again elevation from their back legs to their front legs. Now I will show y'all how to groom your goat while getting ready for a show. Alright, the first thing you do while getting your goat ready for a show is you bathe them with shampoo, then you rinse them, and after that we have a special blow dryer that we use to get him all dry. After he is dry, you trim his hair using clippers like these, and I'll show y'all how that works. The thing that you do while getting your goat ready for a show is you fluff its legs. For that you'll need a brush and hairspray. This is also very simple. All you have to do is just squirt the hairspray on the goat's leg and then just make an upward motion with the brush to try and get the leg all fluffy. Now I'm going to teach y'all how to show your goat. I will be the exhibitor and my dad will be the judge. When you walk in the ring, you always want to have really good eye contact with the judge. So, good eye contact with the judge. Now, when you put your goat in rear view, this is how you do that. And then when the judge comes and feels of your goat's loin, you always want to be prepared to answer questions like, what is your goat's name? How much does he weigh? What do you feed your goat and how much do you feed your goat? And then when the judge comes on this side of you, this side of me. You want to turn so that the judge can still see your goat, because you always want to keep the goat between you and your judge, so that way the judge can see your goat the whole time. Hope y'all have learned a lot about what goes on at a goat stock show. Thank y'all for listening. Now, if y'all want to pet the goat or ask questions, y'all can come do that now.
Hi, my name is Kennedy, and my driving question is, what are the pros and cons of an L&D nurse? This topic interested me because my mom is an L&D nurse herself, and I really wanted to know what she goes through at work. What is an L&D nurse? An L&D nurse is a nurse that takes care of newborn babies just born and their mother. L&D nurses do many things, but here are just a few. They take care of the babies, they make sure a mother goes through a non-scary delivery, and they help the doctors at a delivery. Now, if you were wondering what L&D stands for, it stands for labor and delivery. Now, I hope I at least answered a couple of your questions before we dive into the pros and cons of an L&D nurse. Pros. Number 1, you never know what to expect in a delivery. Number 2, watching people become parents for the first time. Number 3, seeing dads cry happy tears makes the nurses cry too. Number 4, getting to help somebody in pain and give them confidence makes the nurses feel very good about themselves. Cons. Number 1, one of the biggest cons is a fetal demise, which is the death that occurs in the womb or after due to complications. Number 2, hateful patients. Number 3, crazy life situations that make the nurse feel really bad that the baby is going into that home. Number 4, bad thing happening to the good people. The sweetest people can have preterm labor or a sick baby. This is my mom. My mom is an L&D nurse and has been for a while now. She started nursing school just when I was a baby at Kilgore College. Currently, my mom is doing online college at Texas Tech University to get her master's degree in L&D. Now I'm going to be showing you a video that my mom made to show y'all what equipment they use to take care of the babies.
Hey guys, my name is Sabrina. I'm Kennedy's mom. I'm going to give you all a little tour of our Well Baby Nursery, where we learn a lot of stuff in here. We also take care of babies who are kind of acting sickly after they're born, may have temperature issues, or some that just didn't handle delivery too well. The first thing I'm going to show you is our little baby here. This is one of our dummy babies. We use this baby to learn on. This baby does all kinds of stuff. It plugs into a computer that we have. This baby's skin will actually turn different colors to kind of represent how the baby is pinking up or the baby's doing. It will move its arms and legs to kind of let us know that it's acting better. We can do all kinds of stuff with this baby. It has different cries, different motions, and that's how we learn to take care of babies that aren't acting well. This baby also sits in one of our bassinets that looks like this. This up here is a heat lamp, so after baby is born, we can flip on this little monitor right here, and the little screen will come up and heat will automatically start to come down. So when we place our new baby that has just delivered into this bassinet, We have heat coming down on them to help keep them warm. You can also weigh your baby in this bassinet, which is really neat. You can do all kinds of different things. We have a system called APGAR scoring. That's how we score our infants whenever they're born on how they look. You can keep up with the time on that. You can also plug a thermometer in down here that will later attach to the baby with this little thermometer probe. It'll sit right on the baby's chest and it will tell us what the temperature of the baby is and how warm the baby is.
I'm going to be having a game show. Girls team and the boys team. Alright, the first question is fill in the blank. A blank is the death of a baby in the womb or after birth due to complications.
Fetal device.
Correct. That's 1 point for the boys team. Number 2. This is a true or false question. A preterm baby is born late. That's 3-1. The girls team wins. Now, for your prizes, I'm going to give the girls team 2 Reese's and the boys team 1 Reese's. I hope you learned a lot about L&D nurses. What I learned is to appreciate what my mom does more because of all the hard work she puts into saving the babies and the mothers' lives every day.
Hi, my name is Connor, and my driving question is, what are some major reasons why kids do not like school? Well, my reason is because I personally don't like school, so I wanted to see why other people don't. Next slide. Number 1, outdated school systems. School was made during the industrial age mainly to train and make factory workers, because working in a factory is based off of listening and following orders. However, today the world is based off of having new ideas and bending the rules, mainly because abnormal and crazy ideas are what help us get farther into society development. Video.
That follow instructions. Sit down. Take out your books. Turn to page 40. Solve problem number 3. Stop talking. At school, you're rewarded for doing exactly what you're told. These are industrial age values that were really important for factory workers. Their success depended on following instructions and doing exactly what they were told. But in today's world, how far can you get by simply following instructions? The modern world values people who can be creative, who can communicate their ideas, and collaborate with others.
Alright. Number 2, things are hard to remember. I think I speak for everyone when I say things are hard to remember. In fact, it's been scientifically proven that your brain completely shuts off and avoids thinking when trying to remember something that you do not like. Number 3, no control over what you get to or have to do. Lots of days based off of managing your time, managing what you're going to do in your free time, and when in your free time are you going to do that. However, in school, you have scheduled classes and no free time. Furthermore, schools are sending very bad, dangerous message. You don't even have control of your own life. Next. Autonomy, freedom, or independence is a basic need for people who go to school. Some kids do not like to go to school because they simply have no control or autonomy over their life in school. But this one isn't the school's fault, but it still is a pretty big problem. More than 90% of kindergarten through 12th graders are being funded by the state and local governments, largely generated from income tax and or sales tax. But recently, governments have been neglecting to pay for our local schools. 6. Student mental health problems. Mental health is a big concern in the U.S., and in schools, a 2018 study shows that nearly 2/3 of college students are experiencing massive amounts of anxiety, and anxiety has still even been reported for younger students as well. Even the schools that are trying to make a difference are facing challenges. For example, the recommended ratios of students to counselors is 1,000 or through 1,500 to 1 counselor, but the United States college campus average is 1,737 students to 1 counselor. Her awareness is increasing, but there is still a stigma to prevent a lot of students from seeking the mental health care they need and deserve. 7. All right. Biased teachers. Due to lower standards on benchmarks and STAR tests, and teacher-assigned work has more value than in the final exams. This is known as mark inflation, according to Dr. Dewitt, grammatical error. Also, males' marks are inflated significantly less than girls' marks. It has also been noticed that boys score higher out of 5 out of 6 subjects that are tested over, but due to bias inflation, girls still get higher marks than boys, giving girls more scholarships and placements in prestigious universities. Finland is the country with the best education system. This fact is proven because due to America's No Child Left Behind strategy, they are teaching kids they'll need to pass tests, but not anything they'll need in real life. Finland does things differently, though. Instead of teaching for tests, they teach for things that you're going to need in the real world.
This is a video of me and a SWAT officer undercover and Miss LeBou's brother.
I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a
or somewhere where people hear those all the time, but sometimes they don't lie and they have all kinds of things. So don't let the glorify.
Hello, my name is Jordan, and my driving question is, who's SWAT and what do they do? What is SWAT? Next slide. SWAT officers are members of a highly trained paramilitary units that tackle situations beyond the capability of conventional police forces. SWAT was an acronym for Special Weapons Attack Team in 1967, but later accepted Special Weapons and Tactics. SWAT teams generally respond to higher situations, and members may work in specialized positions such as sniper, crisis negotiator, grenadier, tactical emergency responder, or entry officer. What is the role of SWAT? In the early 1980s, SWAT drug raid numbers increased to 3,000 annually, and by 1996, 30,000 raids annually. SWAT was first created in the 1950s to handle riot control. SWAT teams are called in when incident presents significant risk to law enforcement officers or the public. SWAT's job is to carry out dangerous missions such as rescuing hostages, serving arrest warrants under fire, deterring terrorist attacks, and subduing criminals who are armed beyond the capability of regular police officers. What does it take to be a SWAT officer? You must be a police officer and possess full knowledge of police policies and procedures. To be in SWAT, you do not need a degree. However, you must have the skill set such as being in great physical shape and demonstrating advanced firearm proficiency and attend monthly training. SWAT's main weapons are 9mm, an AR, a Colt M4, and a tactical knife. Other equipment is a med pack and a gas mask. Their vehicles are a Dodge, a Lenco Bearcat, and an N355AG helicopter. I learned some differences between SWAT and the DEA. SWAT is for riot control and the DEA is for taking drugs off the streets. SWAT does not get involved with the DEA unless they have a warrant. SWAT cannot obtain a warrant like the DEA. If SWAT found illegal drugs, they would call the DEA. SWAT does not require a degree. Instead, it's a skill set in physical fitness and shooting efficiency. In the DEA, you need a bachelor's degree.
The pros for SWAT are adventurous and high adrenaline. Cons are limited retirement, overtime, PD by the DEA, paperwork, and can only arrest people under state limit.
Did you ever wonder why pyramids were made? Pyramids were built for a religious purpose. The Egyptians were one of the first civilizations to believe in afterlife. They believed that a second life called the Ka lived within every human being. They also were the tallest structures on the planet during the time in Egypt. They are also one of the 7 wonders of the world. The pyramids are located in Haram Giza, governorate to Egypt. They were about 146 meters or 481 feet high. The Great Pyramid stood as the tallest structures in the world for more than 4,000 years. The making of the pyramids actually took a long time, roughly 20 years. Herodotus, the Greek historian, wrote that 100,000 workers built the pyramids, while modern Egyptologists came up with the figure of more of like 20 or 30,000 workers. The core of the pyramids were often composed of local limestone, says Redford. The finer quality limestone composed of outer layers of the pyramids, giving them a white sheen that could be seen from miles away. Deep inside the pyramids lies the Pharaoh's burial chamber, which would be filled with treasures and items for the Pharaohs to use in the afterlife. The walls were often covered with carvings and paintings. Sometimes fake burial chambers or passages would be used to try and trick grave robbers. 6 of the 7 of these ancient structures were destroyed either by natural causes like earthquakes or by human plundering, except for the Great Pyramids of Giza. One of the most interesting fun facts about Pyramids of Giza is that it's the oldest and last remaining of the original 7 wonders of the world, or 7 wonders. The pyramids are the oldest and the largest of the 9 at the Giza necropolis, at the final resting place of King Khufu. The pyramid of the final resting place of King Khufu was completed in 2560 BC. Egyptians built the pyramids as tombs for their kings or pharaohs. Egyptians' beliefs held that the pharaoh died, his spirit remained vital in the afterlife. In addition to the pharaoh's body, the pyramids can contain foods, furniture, and other items for the pharaohs would need in the afterlife. On the subject of the pyramids, which number crosses your mind if you were to ask how many pyramids are still standing on the earth? 5 or 10? No, the number is well more than 5,000. Another startling fact is that there exists an intricate web of passages and shafts in these chambers under the pyramids. These tunnels behold hundreds of years history and thousands of artifacts. Although the Egyptian authorities have excavated and held most of the found communities and details are not available to the common public. It was widely believed that slaves were tasked to build enormous pyramids, but later contradicted that found out that it was paid workers who were one of the tasked with construction. Workers around the north and south respected their work, worked tirelessly and the worker tombs were discovered around 2010. The body is still preserved in the dry sword along with jars of beer and bread for the afterlife. Egyptologists are not quite sure how the pyramids were built, but most widely believed theory is that Egyptian people all helped construct the builds as an act of civil services.
We saw that there were real problems with either a single ramp or a spiral ramp. And lifting cranes certainly don't do the job. So how do you do it? That's the problem Jean-Pierre has been tackling for all these years. His solution still has a ramp, but it's inside the pyramid. And incredibly, according to Jean-Pierre, it's been hidden there for 4,500 years. had to be about 7% so the men could haul the blocks up it. He also figured the ramp would have to start at the base of the pyramid and go upwards as the pyramid grew. It's not as easy as it sounds. Remember, the pyramid is not solid. Inside the Great Pyramid are 3 large chambers. All 3 chambers are connected by passageways. Is it possible to have a ramp snaking up through the pyramid that doesn't run into one of these chambers or passageways? As he began building his computer model, he could see the ramp just 10 feet inside the smooth outer surface of the pyramid, turning level after level, all the way to the top of the pyramid.
We'll probably never know 100% how these amazing structures were built. However, I hope I've engaged you into pyramids and how they were built, and thanks for listening.
My name's Connor, and this is What Does It Take to Be the Best Marksman in the World? Let's go over the gun safety and the golden rules. 1. Always treat the gun as loaded. 2. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. 3. Always keep your finger straight off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. 4. Always keep the gun unloaded until you're ready to use it. 5. Never point the gun at anything you don't intend to destroy. 6. Be sure of your target and what is beyond it. 7. Learn the mechanical and handling characteristics of the gun you're using. 8. Always use proper ammunition. 9. Be sure the barrel is clear of obstruction before loading and shooting. 10. If your gun fails to fire when the trigger is pulled, hold your position for several seconds. Then, with the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, carefully unload the gun. 11. Don't rely on the gun safety to keep it from firing. 12. Be aware of your surroundings when handling guns so you don't trip or lose your balance and accidentally point and or fire the gun at anyone or anything. These are the top 10 character traits needed to be a great marksman. 1. Gun safety is always number 1. 2. Familiarizations with the weapons you use. 3. An understanding of importance of practice. 4. A steady hand with bullet drop affects the wind. 5. Patience. 6. A penchant for good firearm care. 7. The willingness to learn. 8. The ability to recognize those better than you. 9. Learn by doing. And 10. Understanding of quality. Did you know shooting as a sport has been practiced for hundreds of years in European countries? The popularity of the sport grew in English-speaking countries with the formation of the National Rifle Association in 1959, which originally met in Wimbledon, London, and the National Rifle Association, USA, in 1871. Sighting in a rifle. Sighting in is a process of adjusting the sights to hit a target at a specific range. Deer hunters, for an example, often sight in their rifles to hit the bullseye at 100 yards. All rifles should be sighted in before every hunt using the ammunition you plan to use, especially rifles with telescopic peep or telescopic sights. Guns you sighted in prior to your last outing could have been knocked out of alignment by a single jolt. That misalignment could mean the difference between a successful hunt and a disappointing experience. This is my .22 cal rifle and .22 type of ammo. Now let's watch this short video.
Ready when you are. Good. All right, let's walk up to the target. Gun safe. Gun is safe. Okay. Let's walk to the target. See what we got. Ooh, almost a bullseye. Right there it is.
This is Kimberly Road, U.S. gold medalist. This is the picture of her. This is her winning in 2012 Olympics.
Danka Bartikova shot a 74 in qualifying and 25 in the finals in 2008 in Nicosia in Cyprus for a 99 total. And Rhoda will do likewise at the Olympics if she hits this target. And she has equaled the world record there.
Hello, my name is Macy. Today we will be learning about Bell's palsy and how it affects people living with it. The definition of Bell's palsy is a temporary weakness or paralysis of the muscles in the face, but I want to go a little bit deeper. What inspired me to do this subject is that my grandpa got Bell's palsy a couple months ago. So right now, I'm going to hand out a diagram of what Bell's palsy looks like and go over it with you. Now I'm going to be presenting my ABC slideshow. Age for age. The most common ages Bell's palsy can occur is 16 through 60. Okay, B is for Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy is the facial paralysis. C is for Charles Bell, who founded Bell's palsy. D is for the difficulty in which people face when they have Bell's palsy, from eating and drinking to sleeping and talking. E is for electrical stimulation. Electrical stimulation can help work out muscle tension for people that have acute Bell's palsy. F is for facial palsy, which is another name for Bell's palsy. G is for the great difficulty people with Bell's palsy face, from eating and drinking to sleeping and talking. H is for hapless, which is the unfortune that people with Bell's palsy have. I is for identifying what disease you have, which 23 in 100,000 people have Bell's palsy. J is for the joy people have when Bell's palsy finally goes away. K is for the knowledge people with Bell's palsy need to have to take care of themselves. L is for the lack of correct words because people with Bell's palsy can't control one side of their face. M is for the major impact Bell's palsy has caused to humans. N is for the U.S. nation cases of Bell's palsy. Did you know every year more than 40,000 people get Bell's palsy? O is for observing if the disease is getting better. T is for when people panic about having Bell's palsy at first. Q is for the quite long time people wait to recover. R is for the reoccurrence of Bell's palsy. Once you get it in about 2 or so years, you're most likely to get it again. S is for the soothing feeling when Bell's palsy goes away. T is for tics. A tick bite can actually cause Bell's palsy to happen. U is for needing to understand Bell's palsy in case you get it or if you have it. V is for verbal disability. Because half of your face is paralyzed, you don't speak well. W is for worrying it won't go away. X is for getting x-rays to rule out other possible illnesses. Y is for your family being worried. Z is for your zygomatic bone in your face, which gets locked up due to muscles being paralyzed. That's my ABC slideshow. I hope you learned one thing or another. Hi, I'm Chloe, and my Genius Hour is how to become a vet and what does it take to be successful in this career. To answer my questions, I interviewed a vet at Veterinary Services of Glenwater. My love and passion for animals is what drove me to do this Genius Hour topic. Now let's hear the veterinarian's answers to my questions. Her name was Dr. Lane. And I asked her, number one, how long did you go to school to become a vet? She said 7 years. She got out 1 year early, but she said 4 years undergraduate, 4 years vet school. And the second question I asked is, what are some challenges you faced on your journey to becoming a vet? She said grades, time, and expense. 3, I asked, what is the most rewarding part about being a vet? She said company owner and being a local vet. Fourth thing I asked is, how do you handle having to put someone's pet to sleep? She said, knowing that the pet isn't suffering anymore. Number 5, I asked her, what is the most difficult part about being a vet? She said, working hard and not getting recognized. Number 6, the last question I asked her was, what is a piece of advice you would give someone who wants to become a vet? She said, keep grades up and get experience. I'll have a fun little Kahoot game about
upcoming event. We all enjoyed the game. Now, recently I went shopping with Mrs. LeBeau and Bailey for the Longview Animal Care and Adoption Center. Mrs. LeBeau made a video out of that experience. Now let's watch. Educated you about becoming a veterinarian. Maybe you also are interested in this amazing career. This is Chloe signing out.